I'm pleased to have on the Rich Eisen Show the head coach of the Ohio State University football program, national championship head coach 3 times over, Urban Meyer, here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Coach?
Good to hear your voice, Rich. Good.
Likewise, right back at you. What's your first memory of a Michigan-Ohio State game?
Oh, I go back, what am I, 52, so probably 40-some years that I grew up in northeastern Ohio, and my family were big Woody Hayes fans and Ohio State fans, and for some reason, to this day, I still don't know, but I do remember it. My mom said, hey, you have to go run an errand, and I threw a fit, and I was 6 years old or something, and so sure enough, we go run an errand, and it was colder than cold, and we went to some outdoor mall in Ashtabula, Ohio, and I remember I was so upset that I had to leave the TV, and over the loudspeakers outside at the mall, I would stand and listen to the game while she was shopping and doing whatever she had to do.
Did you ever meet Woody Hayes? Did you ever get a chance?
Oh, sure. 1986, I was hired here. He would come to our recruiting meetings and was failing in health, and my wife from Chillicothe, Ohio, one day said, hey, can we go up and say hi to Coach Hayes? And I said, you know what, we went up there, and there's like 20 people in line. I said, you know, he's got an office right next to ours. We'll go meet him someday, and he passed away, so she never got to meet him. But I met him several times.
What about Bo? You ever meet him?
Oh, sure. Bo Schembeck was so gracious to me when I became the head coach of Bowling Green, because he has a Bowling Green background as well, and had former coaches and Dwight Perry, and he called me out of the blue and congratulated me and knew I was an Earl Bruce guy. I had great respect for Coach Schembeckler.
Yeah, I remember I'm with Urban Meyer here on the Rich Eisen Show. My senior year at Michigan was Bo's last year, and right before the Michigan-Ohio State game, he hadn't announced that he was done yet, but he just started telling stories about Woody and what this game meant, and he was different. It was different. It was just a different week for him because he knew it was his last one as well.
Wow.
And it just meant so much to him, Coach. And I'm wondering, what does this game mean to you, this game?
Well, it's personal. It's overwhelming at times because the sense of obligation and responsibility, and it humbles you to think of I know the history of this like the back of my hand, and the thing that truly makes Rich this rivalry so different, the respect is immense, and it was because of the 10-year war, and I didn't say the like, but the respect. And those two coaches just set the standard, Coach Schembeckler and Coach Hayes, that's all I knew. And then I worked for Earl Bruce, who went 5-4 against Coach Schembeckler, and as hard as you can possibly play, but there's always that respect there.
Urban Meyer joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. And now, folks from my side of the fence and your side of the fence are saying that you and Jim Harbaugh might have a similar war in that respect. Would you agree with that analogy?
I don't think that'll ever be the same. I think these are two very good teams, and they're going to play as hard as they can. And I'm just trying to focus on one day at a time. So I just think the 10-year war set the standard, and it humbles you to be part of it.
And which quarterback do you think you're going to see from Michigan this week?
The best one.
And how many times do you think you might see Peppers out there? What are you expecting on that front, number 5?
He played a bunch against us a year ago. I'm in charge of the coverage unit, so I'm worried about that. He's as good as a returner as there is in the game. So we'll see him a bunch.
So in terms of you expecting to see him on offensive snaps as well?
Rich, I don't spend enough time over there right now to tell you. I imagine they will. Mm-hmm. I don't know that, though.
Urban Meyer joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. A couple more minutes before I let you go. Is there, it's a noon start, Coach. It's just it's an old school type of a mentality. Would you ever consider putting this game under the lights if both sides agree to it?
No, I don't think so. No. This is the way it is, and I don't see that ever changing.
Okay, and then again, like before I let you go, would you ever agree to an 8-team playoff? Would you want to see something like that? Because you're locked into obviously a 2, and we're talking about all these Big Ten teams being in the top 10 and whether they deserve to go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Would you be up for an 8-team playoff when it's all said?
Not with the current model, because I've done it 2 years ago. We did the whole and the wear and tear on the student athlete. You'd have to increase scholarships. You'd have to change the calendar. You can't ask our kids to play. I just don't believe you can. In the last year we would have got in if there was an 8-team playoff, but this year, so I don't see it, the current the current model it is right now, and I'm all about the student athlete, and so I don't think so.
And I'd be remiss if I did not ask you about all the conversation going on the pro level for an MVP candidacy, maybe for Ezekiel Elliott, and what he's been doing for the Dallas Cowboys. What are your thoughts on seeing what he's done at the next level?
Yeah, I missed so much of it, but I see the highlights, and I was remiss. I actually called Zeke and his dad last night on my way home, and I congratulated them on their incredible journey. Very proud of all our guys. We had a unique run last year with those players, and I spent draft day with you guys.
Nice. I was there that night, right next to you, when your 11th player went off the board in the first couple of nights. I do remember that. Coach, thanks for calling in. I know, like I said, it's a busy week. I really appreciate the time, and good luck on Saturday.
It's always been great to me. Thanks, Rich.
You bet. That's Urban Meyer.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.